It would feel quite relieving, on the other hand, hearing this from a Palestine woman, which has gone viral on the internet.
Palestinians are racist to black people. And if you look around, it's black people that are out there advocating for the rights of Palestinians. This should be a lesson for Palestinians and the Arab community in general to stop being racist towards black people. Because when shit hits the fan, it's black people that come out and they fight for the oppressed. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi. Allah says He will not change a people until they change themselves. So if you're there making dua, saying, "Oh Allah, why are the Israeli soldiers racist to the Arabs and they're doing all of these things to the Palestinian people," and you can't understand why this is happening, then look within yourself. You as an Arab, you as a Palestinian, you in your own family, how many of you are racist to people that are black Palestinians? Even broader Muslim communities, from Pakistani communities to Bangladeshi communities, Moroccan, Libyan communities, the Gulf communities. How many people say we are Muslim and in the same breath they mistreat other Muslims because of their skin color or their country of origin?
Nisreen Salam is an Afro-Palestinian from Egypt who has been mocked due to her skin color and hair for most of her young life. The 25-year-old is one of at least 400 Afro-Palestinians from Nigeria, Egypt, Chad, Senegal, and Sudan who live within the walls of occupied Jerusalem's Old City, adjacent to Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. The hardest part was when I started hating everything about myself because I was being pointed at and attacked verbally by both Palestinians and Jews everywhere I went, she said sadly. We face double the harassment and double the racism for being Palestinian and for being black. And how about that jocular expression used in Gaza, for instance, when a man, woman, or child of African descent passes by? Hey, cappuccino. Hey, brown one. And hey, black one. Sometimes the racism is expressed non-verbally through looks. Gazans, however, seem unaware of this racism. Al-Monitor, one of the leading Middle East online media, met with political activist Sama al-Rawag, age 33, at her home and asked her whether she experienced any discrimination due to her skin color. She made light of the matter. Yet, when her father Ahmad al-Rawag, 80 years of age, recounted incidents he had experienced involving racism, Sama was shocked. "That's the first time I've heard such stories from you," she said sadly to her father. "I struggled a lot to overcome the difficulties caused by the color of my skin. I always had to doubly prove myself at school, at work, and in life. Because I'm dark-skinned," Ahmad, Sama's father, said. He had added that they are originally from Sudan. His ancestors came at the beginning of the 20th century and lived in Palestine, in a village called Ruben, neighboring Jaffa, until the year 1948 when they were forced to migrate to the Gaza Strip. "But I never felt that I did not belong here. Palestine is the homeland I have always known, and is a homeland to about 10,000 other dark-skinned people in the Gaza Strip," Ahmad had said, remembering sadly when he was a teacher in the late 1950s and one of his colleagues had invited everyone, except him, to a wedding. "That day, I felt embarrassed, and I decided that no one in my family would go through such an experience," he said. Ahmad, who managed to complete his education, also participated in handball competitions abroad in the 1960s. "I didn't want the color of my skin to be an obstacle for me or my children. I had to put them through private schools so that they didn't hear anything that would offend them," Ahmad exposed. Sama agreed with her father and added, "I never felt that the color of my skin made me different from others. I always had the best toys and clothing. I studied in a private school, and I felt that people liked me. Sometimes I heard comments that bothered me, but this is the first time I've heard about my father's suffering." Sama did not deny that she has been hearing more discriminatory words recently, but she denied that it is about hate. "I hear phrases such as, 'Hey Galaxy,' 'Hey Brownie,' but I sometimes feel that it's mere banter and not for the purpose of harassing me," she said. According to Gaza Through History, a book by Ibrahim Sakik, wealthy families in the Gaza Strip participated in the slave trade hundreds of years ago. Another book, Delighting in the Wealth of Gaza's History, notes that some of the residents of the Palestinian village of Berbera were dark-skinned people who came from Morocco. The majority of families with dark skin in Gaza originate from Sudan and Egypt. Many of them were captives, brought to work in the Ottoman Empire's army hundreds of years ago. Noted Palestinian historian Salim Mubayyed speaking to Al-Monitor by phone. By the 9th century, it is estimated that some 3 million Africans had been resettled as enslaved people in the Middle East, working as soldiers and laborers in the riverine plantation economies. There are some Palestinian communities that trace their origins to pilgrims from Sudan and Central Africa, mainly Chad, who are said to have reached Palestine as early as the 12th century. The African Palestinians who now live in the two compounds near Al-Aqsa Mosque have called the area home since 1930. They have experienced prejudice, with some Palestinian Arabs referring to them as Abid, meaning slaves, and to their neighborhood as the Habs al-Abaid, slaves' prison, and their color has led to objections against them marrying Palestinians with lighter skin. According to Moussa Kous, director of the African Community Society and a former member of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, PFLP, sometimes when a black Palestinian wants to marry a white Palestinian woman, some members of her family might object. Interracial marriage with Afro-Palestinians has become more common only in recent years. In colloquial Palestinian Arabic, standard usage prefers the word sumur, meaning dark color, over sod, which has an uncouth connotation. Notwithstanding, several countless playouts of discriminatory racist practices on Afro-Palestinians could get any sane mind seriously reflecting. Next to the Rawag family's home, there is an entire area on Jala Street inhabited by dark-skinned Gazans. The Palestinian people and taxi drivers would often refer to the area as the Black Neighborhood or Slaves Neighborhood. Mohammed Abu Rashed, age 13, who is a talented soccer player and dreams of becoming like Lionel Messi, recounted his experience to Al Monitor. At school, they say, "Hey, chocolate," but I don't pay attention to them. His friend ahead, age 17, furiously barked out, interrupting, "Liar! We do get bothered." Ahead didn't stop there, pointing to a white boy with colored eyes riding a bicycle around them. That boy, for example, always says to us, "Hey, brownie! Hey, chocolate!" The white boy smiled and responded, "Because I like you." Abed al-Rawag, age 21, who works at a grocery store at the neighborhood's entrance, told Al Monitor that racism affects his business. "I don't feel discriminated against until a white girl or woman comes to buy from the grocery store. As soon as she sees me, she changes her mind about buying and leaves. There's a widespread belief that a black man would harm her. That offends me. What really is evil with the black color? How is it any less or absurd not to be white? It would always remain a mystery, considering the organic electric at work with the mentality and minds of the racist societies." Bakit, who lives in the Nusayrat camp in central Gaza, recalled an incident with one of the security services in Gaza after the split in 2007. The policeman looked inside a taxi and ordered the two dark-skinned men inside to step out. "That was us," he said. "So, my brother and I stepped out, and we headed to the search location. After they made sure that we weren't suspects, we went back to the car. I felt very insulted. The driver asked me why. I told him, it seems we are now in Chicago." Ali Jida, a tour guide and also a former member of the PFLP, has this to say: "Any racism by Palestinian Arabs could be blamed on ignorance. Racism in the Palestinian territories encompasses all forms and manifestations of racism experienced in the Palestinian territories of the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem, irrespective of the religion, color, creed, or ethnic origin of the perpetrator and victim, or their citizenship, residency, or visitor status."